He changed the sound of rock forever, and then he was gone. On September 18th, 1970, Jimi Hendrix was found lifeless in a London flat. But what happened in those final hours remains one of the greatest mysteries in music history. Why was he found covered in wine, but none detected in his bloodstream? Why were his final phone calls filled with panic and desperation? How did conflicting reports, timeline gaps, and contradictory witness statements shake the world's belief in the official story? Tonight, we decode the last 24 hours of Jimi Hendrix, the greatest guitarist who ever lived, and explore the possibility that his death was not only unnatural, but something far more sinister. Jimi Hendrix wasn't just a musician, he was a revolution. A man whose guitar became a weapon of art, whose performances set crowds on fire, and whose creativity seemed limitless. But behind the blazing lights and screaming fans was a quiet, troubled soul battling exhaustion, depression, and chaotic relationships. When he died at just 27 years old, the world accepted the official explanation that he overdosed on sleeping pills and choked on his own vomit. But as investigations deepened and witnesses changed their stories, his death began to look less like a tragic accident and more like a puzzle with missing pieces. By 1970, Jimi Hendrix was living under a pressure few could imagine. The fame was overwhelming, the business disputes unending, and the touring schedule brutally exhausting. His manager, Mike Jeffrey, was notoriously controlling and desperate to keep Hendrix locked into contracts. Jimi felt trapped, both creatively and financially. This turmoil pushed him into a cycle of sleepless nights, chaotic parties, and emotional burnout. Friends later admitted that in his final weeks, Jimi looked tired, lost, and spiritually drained. Some say he feared for his life. Others claim he felt hunted, controlled, and manipulated by the very industry he helped shape. On the night of September 17, 1970, Jimi Hendrix spent time with his girlfriend, Monica Danneman, at her London flat. What exactly happened during these hours remains blurry. Monica claimed they talked about the future, about leaving London, about starting fresh. But phone records and testimonies from friends paint a different picture, one of tension, arguments, stress, and paranoia. Jimi made several phone calls that night, describing feeling surrounded and in danger. He told one friend he didn't trust the people around him. These calls are among the most chilling elements of his final day, suggesting something far darker was unfolding than the world was told. In the morning, Jimi was found unresponsive. According to Monica, she awoke to discover him struggling to breathe. But her story changed multiple times over the years. Different timelines, different details, different explanations. Paramedics who arrived at the scene later testified that Hendrix was covered in red wine from head to toe, yet no alcohol was found in his bloodstream. How does a man have his lungs filled with wine, but not his stomach or blood? This remains one of the most disturbing and unexplained elements of the entire case. The paramedics also noted something else. They believed Hendrix had died long before they were called, contradicting Monica's claims that he was alive when they arrived. The autopsy concluded that Jimi died from asphyxiation, essentially drowning in his own vomit after taking sleeping pills. But toxicology reports showed only a mild level of barbiturates, not enough to cause death. The cause of death didn't match the physical evidence. Even more troubling, there were no traces of wine ingestion yet. So his lungs were filled with wine-like fluid, suggesting possible forced ingestion. Emergency responders reported no attempt of CPR by Monica or anyone else. All these elements make the official explanation feel incomplete or deliberately simplified. Years later, startling claims began to emerge. Former associates alleged that Hendrix's manager, Mike Jeffrey, had confessed, in private, that he had arranged Hendrix's death. The alleged motive? Insurance and control. Jimi had been trying to break free from contracts, move to a new label, and start his own creative path. The theory suggests that Hendrix's death financially benefited the people around him far more than his continued life would have. Whether these claims are true or distorted over time they add a chilling layer to the mystery. Too many people had something to gain. Too many details didn't match. Too many voices were silenced. Jimi Hendrix's death was officially ruled an accident. But the inconsistencies, the medical irregularities, the suspicious testimonies, and the possible motives make it one of the darkest mysteries in the music world. At just 27 years old, he joined the infamous 27 Club. But unlike many others, his final hours remained tangled in contradictions. Jimi Hendrix changed music forever, but the truth behind his death still lies buried between fear, silence, and shadows. And until every missing answer is uncovered, the world will continue to ask, what really happened to Jimi Hendrix?